Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for tuning in to another session of Lunar Sessions. Today, I have an awesome guest by the name of Jina Min. I met Jina. Say hello, everybody, to Jina. Jina, say hello.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining me today. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. And how are you? It's so good to thank you for having me.
Oh, no, thank you for joining. I'm so excited to have you on and have everybody meet you.
It's so good to catch up with you, too.
I know, it's like so awesome. Like we can just have a quick coffee in our own homes and all that jazz. Yes. So it's really, really cool. There we go. I don't have coffee. I should have, but I'm going to spill it on my laptop and that's a disaster. I've done that one.
Not a good idea.
Not a good idea. So you can be the responsible one. Okay. So everybody, Jina and I met. We were both interns at Universal Music, I think, in the beginning of our careers. We did the whole internship and only met, I think, on the last day, which is so crazy. And we automatically connected. And I think we've always been parallel in each other's careers. So I just want you to introduce yourself and tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what you do. And we'll get into all the nitty-gritty a little bit later.
Okay, so hi, I'm Jina. I'm a label manager at one of the major record labels. And Tamron and I met, wow, yes, it was literally, we were on separate days of our internships at Universal Music, and we got to both work on, more international stuff than local stuff. But I've been in the South African music industry for about 13 years now. I started when I was 16 years old. And it was kind of weird how I ended up getting my internship at Universal. I had been managing bands, putting on festivals from the age of 16, and I'd always wanted to be in the music industry and interested in the music industry, and I think that's kind of just stuck with it essentially. And so I'm very grateful to be in a career that is in music, and it's led me to this music business. I'm not a musician in any way. I'm not musically talented in any way, but yes, that's essentially where I am.
Okay, cool. I love your story of how you met Benji, correct? Benji is a gentleman that I work with at the moment still, and I remember my time with him at Universal Music. So I want everybody to hear the story about how Jina met Benji and how her story started.
Yeah, so that's how I got my internship at Universal Music. It was actually at the Linkin Park concert. Okay. And so I saw Benji walking around. I was in the Golden Circle because being the Linkin Park fan that I am, I saw Benji walking in not the Golden Circle, but he was in the media pits, and I saw him walking up and down. And I'd known about him because my mother had told me about, the legendary Benji Moody. And I jumped up on the barrier and I shouted at him. I was like, Benji! And I was like, how do I work for you? And he was like, why do you want to be in the music industry? And I'm like, because I'm mad. And he was like, cool, phone me on Monday.
Okay. No, but that's what I love about Benji. He's so great. He's so let me help you learn. He's not, and I remember I was so intimidated by him when I first met him because I was
Me too.
And I'd sit there, and I remember he was sitting, I think, with Elvis Blue in his office, and Elvis Blue offered me a donut. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. So that's so cool. And I think that's something, you're doing so well, and you've done so well since I've known you with all the different parts of your journey. And I think it's so cool that you have that initiative in you, because I think a lot of people would be too scared to say, hey, you give me attention. I want to work with you. So I
don't know what took over me, but I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I did it because my life changed that day, essentially. I'd always been working in the music industry, but I think that shift of going from just wanting to be in the music industry to actually working in it happened at that time. So, yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. And it's so cool because right now, from what I understand, you're doing what we interned on, like international.
Yes, so I do. I'm a label manager, and I handle both local and international repertoire.
Oh, cool.
So working with local artists, building them, doing the marketing for that, and then also still doing the international stuff that I do. So it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's a good fun. Yeah.
Even though I know you work where you work and I know what you do, it's like there's so many moving parts to the music industry, and I think there's so many jobs people aren't aware of. I wasn't even sure. I thought you were just in international. So it's so cool that you're also in local, because I think each segment or sector has its rewarding parts of it. So
yes, so I think from a local side, there is definitely a lot more work involved, because one, you have access to the artist, you can talk to them, they could talk to you, and they could contact you all hours of the day, which they do. But then also there is the challenge of there's so much international repertoire that is out there, and being able to break through the noise and making sure that's something that's going to work locally. So there are two parts of it, and you know, I thoroughly enjoy the local side of it. I love working with artists and having that interaction and being able to see what their vision is and being able to roll out their vision essentially. It's so nice. Whereas with international artists, you don't have access to them, so you have to get creative in how you're going to market them and bring them to markets essentially with you know, very minimal interaction with them. Sometimes you do get access to them, but most of the time it's not, and it's being able to build an artist that doesn't have that interaction at all.
Yeah, and you can't like learn about them as a person as you would with like your local talent. And I'm sure it's like there's so many challenges even just as a record label in today's how things have evolved in terms of from CDs. I remember packing CDs at Universal. Like I don't even think that's
Yes.
I don't even know if there's a CD cabinet that we can grab a few albums from. And that was I love that. I loved like taking
Me too.
I love it. It was like my favorite part. I would just go and grab all of them and like have this amazing collection of CDs. And now it's all digital and learning. I mean, even with the artists that I work with and even being an artist myself, learning how to, you know, Spotify, I feel it's like the new radio. You've got to find playlists and you've got to, and that's such an interesting part, and you've got to be with the times. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I look back on that time of packing CDs in those pigeonholes and as laborious as it was, I think back on, you know, how interesting and how important that actually was, being able to know which radio, because okay, for the people that don't know, they had these like pigeonholes and they're all labeled with different radio stations in South Africa, and was understanding and knowing which radio stations and which CDs you are going to pack in those pigeonholes. So I think doing that, it helped me understand how different radio stations work and what's going to be played on those radio stations. And that definitely gave me a foot in understanding radio plugging and how radio works and what music is going to work on that station in that region or not. And so, yeah, as much as we thought it was tedious, I think that gave us a crash course in how playlisting works at radio.
Exactly. And I think like it's the basis. I mean, I'm more PR side, publicity, and learning, okay, like having Josie, who was our like mentor, I suppose, at that stage, having her say, okay, these are just give it a go. Put your CDs where you think that which publication they should go to. And I think, as you say, you think it's tedious, you think, how is this going to help me? And it's such a basis of what we do. I remember seeing Al Broyd's pigeonhole and being like, oh my god, please, People Magazine, this is so cool. And now he's one of my closest friends.
It's both of us.
exactly. So it's like, it's so cool how we've done like a 360, no, 180, a 180,
180.
No, whatever the case,
a full circle,
that's 360, a full circle.
Yeah.
A full circle in our careers, and now we're working with those people every day, and you see how they've evolved, and it's really, really cool. And I agree with you. I didn't even think about those little pigeonholes, how fundamental they were in the beginning of learning how to, I don't know, publicize and know which radio stations and which magazines would really
exactly.
like that content.
And like you say, seeing the evolution of how things, and it, especially an example like Al, who's gone from People Magazine, and you know, sadly People Magazine is no longer, especially in this time and what's happened, but also how he's evolved, and now the House of Pop, you know, which he's just launched, and that's also such an exciting endeavor to see that, and seeing how you know, the media friends that we've made and how they've evolved and adapted as well, you know, with us too.
Exactly. And I think what's so cool about Al, and I think anybody in this time during lockdown, they've kind of been given the push they needed to create something for themselves, and he has made House of Pop.
Been forced to.
Exactly. And I think it gives you the push that you need, like you being forced to, and he's made this publication that I think has the potential to be, I mean, and knowing Al, he's going to make it like perfect, and it's going to be amazing, and such a great platform for us to send our content to, that's going to get the exposure, and we're evolving with the times. And
I've seen that with the artists I work with now too, is that they're being forced to evolve and find ways of making music and you know, adapting with the time, because a large part of sadly, live music income, and such a large part of artists' income comes from that. And seeing artists, like the Ndlovu Youth Choir, who built an entire green screen studio in rural Limpopo to be able to still do concerts and using a green screen and putting a stage behind them, and still being able to do corporate shows across the world. So it's seeing that ingenuity from artists to be able to do that.
Exactly. And also when you talk about that, it's also like, I think for the first time, artists are becoming their own entrepreneurs, their own business managers, and they're not just saying, I make music, this is my content. They're doing it from all different aspects. I mean, even seeing Good Luck's, they have that studio that all the concerts they're doing, and it's so cool. And they adapted it for the Light SA Red concert they made for Red, and they're forced to be more creative and more brand orientated and moving with the times. As you say, with the Ndlovu Youth Choir, like, it's so cool, and they're learning to be entrepreneurs. They're using social media, and it's also more in their grasp.
Yeah, exactly. And I think essentially that's what artists should always be doing is building their brand and not just sitting back. And yes, record labels, I mean, and this is advice that I should, that it goes for both being an artist that wants to be signed to a record label and an independent artist too. It's like, you should be the custodian of your own brand. You should be an entrepreneur. A label is there to help and amplify it. We're not there to do the job for you. It's there, just we have more of the workforce, and we're there to help you, but it's not necessarily there to do the job.
Exactly.
That's your brand is yours.
More collaborative, and have a team behind you, and have the benefit of having a team behind you. Yeah. And I think it's really, really cool that we are given the opportunity to have digital, I mean, as an artist myself, have digital distribution at your fingertips. You can kind of be, I mean, it obviously helps to have a record label, and you have that whole force behind you. And I think the people that are signed to a record label, I think that's such a blessing. And I think that's so great, especially if the record label is moving with the times and evolving.
Yes, that's key, being able to move with the times, because there's a lot of old school mentality that does happen in record labels, but being able to adapt and move the time. I mean, from when we were interns, from even 3 years ago working at a label to where it is now is completely different. How you market an artist, and like you said, playlists that go from radio and radio playlisting to now trying to get pitching and trying to be on Spotify playlists is also high key, and Apple playlists, and how important it is to be able to be on those platforms.
And I think even talking about our relationship with Al and the media people, how important relationships and networking is, and maintaining a relationship with these people that is a personal one to an extent. Sometimes you can't always cross that boundary or whatever, but having a relationship, so you know what they want, how you can help them, and networking. I think that if anything, I can say what has gotten me somewhere is the networking. So like, with that being said, what would you say has been your greatest strength in your career that's gotten you to the point where you are now?
Going on exactly what you say is nurturing those relationships. It is definitely, it goes both ways, being on both sides. People, we all need each other. So it's maintaining those relationships and offering what you can give. But I think also the perseverance and the passion that I have, perseverance to stay within this industry is more than anything what I do think is my biggest strength. It's something I'm passionate about. I know that I'm passionate about it, and being able to work with artists and taking them to the next level. I'm passionate about that, and being able to persevere through all the personalities and all the hardships. Because we're in a great industry. We really are. We're in one of the best industries. It's so much fun, but there's also so much hardship in it. It's tough.
And I think that that's such a cool way that you look at it. I mean, I meet different people in the industry all day, and a lot of the people are tired. They don't like the transition from what the industry looked like before, and what maybe 10 years ago, even 3 years ago, to now. They were comfortable there. And I think the fact that we both have that same passion and passion for this industry. I don't think I'll ever not work in the music industry.
And that constant need to learn. I think that's also you're also constantly learning, because I know we've had these conversations, learning how things change and how to move with it.
Exactly. And I think that you have that passion is so cool, and it creates this desire in you to push and deal with the I'm sure mood swings or different personalities, or there's so many. And a lot of people look at what we do and think, wow, that's so glamorous, look at I'm like, but there's a struggle, and a lot of the time it's not as glamorous. I love how people talk about backstage. I'm like, there's nowhere to sit. You can't watch the concert. You have to go. And I mean, I love what I do, and I know you do,
Yes.
but it's not what everybody thinks it is. It's a lot of hard work, and you have to, I think it's not for everybody, and you have to have the passion that you have and that design perseverance. So
it's only passion that's going to make us still dance at 2 a.m. after working 18 hours. Like, we see each other backstage, black bags, like, yes.
Exactly that. No, but I mean, I remember like when we both worked, it's so weird how our careers have been like literally parallel. Like, I'll meet you and you'll be like, oh, I just met this person and I just got this job. And I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Like, I also, and then when we saw each other at Global Citizen, we're like, I don't think we've ever worked with each other, but we've always been, I mean,
within the same realm.
Some concerts we've worked together with, and it's just so cool. And I think over time we've become so close, and it's been such a nice, like an ally in the industry. And you know, it's really, really cool to have that. And also what I appreciate so much about our friendship is that I think, and I've said this in some of the other podcasts that I've had, is that you and I have a friendship where there's no competition. We just both want to see each other thrive. We both want to thrive ourselves. And we could have, I could have been like, oh, who's this chick at Universal Music? And what is she?
Yeah, she's doing the same thing as me, type of thing. And yeah, we could have essentially done that. And it really isn't. It's like you say, we are parallel. We are not in competition with each other, and we're there to support each other because we're both going through the trenches of this industry.
Exactly. So I it's really, really cool. And I'm so glad that they are. Also, what I say to people, a lot of people are like, oh, the music industry is such a tough industry to be in. But I'm like, because the people are cutthroat and the people aren't always fake and they're all fake. And it's always, I'm like, personally, I've met my fair share of fake people, but for the majority, I've met some fantastic people and such amazing people. And we're so blessed to work with people that are collaborative and want to work together, and we're all in for the same goal.
And that's the thing, the ones that are passionate and the ones that are nice are the ones that are going to make it in this industry. That is, the ones that are fake and in it for the wrong reasons aren't going to make it. They're not going to be here. They're not going to make it.
I've actually seen that. I remember I was working somewhere, I'm not going to mention names or whatever, and there was this chick that came in, and she was very much what the attitude that is, let's, push each other down and da-da-da-da. And it was like, it bugged me, because I'm like, I don't know if she's gonna get away with this, and she's gonna get away with this energy, and she didn't. It ended up not working. And I'm not saying that I ever want to see anybody fail because they've got a bad attitude, but I really hope that what happened there when it didn't work out for her, that she looked at herself and went, okay, having this bad attitude and beating other women or other people down is not going to get anybody anywhere. And I think
it's not going to get anyone anywhere.
With you and I, there's a space for both of us to grow, and there's space for both of us to thrive. And so thank you also for just being on the podcast and chatting and just showing what a relationship could look like with two women in the industry and how we've supported each other. And thank you for always supporting me and just...
Yes, likewise.
It's very, very cool. And I think we're always going to be like aligned, and I think we're always going to have each other's back along the industry. And, and it's just really, really cool to have that, have somebody supporting you, and not... because it's hard enough. Everything's tough enough.
It is, exactly. It's so nice to have a personal cheerleader. It really is. So likewise. And I'm always cheering you on. I'm always here to support you, and always excited for you and hearing things about your life and seeing you achieve things. It's always great.
You too, genuinely. Even though you make me go on 11K hikes, I'm just holding that against you.
So when are we hiking again?
Hopefully in the next 2 weeks. Hopefully I'm going to get fitter, but it was fun. And you listen to me complain the whole time. But also, but based on everything we chatted about, and I ask everybody that comes on to Luna Sessions this question: what has been one of your most mentally challenging challenges with your career so far?
I think imposter syndrome. I battle with it all the time, and anxiety. I do battle with that. I think imposter syndrome for the most part. I know we've had conversations about this, and I think anxiety is to constantly be on top of things all the time. And I think just trying to be a little bit kinder to myself is very important, and also own what I have done. I've put in the hours, and just remind myself that I have put in the hours. I have done this work. I have paid my dues. That what comes to me is because I have worked hard for it. So I think it's just trying to remind myself often about that as much as possible. I do battle. But yes, anxiety, waking up in the middle of the night or not sleeping because I want to constantly be better and challenge myself and be on top of it all the time, especially in this fast moving industry. And I think those have been my two two biggest things, and trying to find ways around that.
And it's so interesting that you say that. I mean, even I know because you and I have had conversations before, but I remember when you first told me, and I think I saw a post of yours, and I was like, what, Jina battles with the same thing? You look like you carry yourself like you just this badass bad bitch, like doing so well, and you just like, and I respect you so much. And I was like, oh my, and it made me feel like, oh, okay, I'm human. She also has these feelings, and it was like a breath of fresh air, because I was like, okay, cool, I'm not alone in these things, these horrible thoughts going, are you good enough? Why are you working? Like, who are you? Like, who are you?
What are you trying to prove? Yeah.
Like, who do you think you are? Like, you just, and I think a big cool learning curve for me has been, okay, you work, you putting in the effort. And I mentioned this, it's so interesting that you say this, because it's been actually a trend in a lot of the podcasts that I've done. When I had the podcast with Dan on Thursday, she also said imposter syndrome, and I was like, that's so crazy, because I also have this. I'm like, you also have so much respect for you. That's crazy. Who would have thought? But we in the arena. We are in the arena. We're doing it. We are being brave. We're standing on the railing at the concert, screaming, saying, and just putting ourselves out there and like hoping something sticks, and it has stuck. So obviously we are meant to be where we're meant
to be here.
And I think I'm not going to talk for me, because I don't want to be, I'm humble, but we're doing a good job. We're making a difference in the industry. We making people's dreams come true as well as our own. And and I can having a fun time and a fun experiences to go with it. So
exactly.
to be like I'm.
And I've always said that. I said, as soon as it stops becoming fun, I'm no longer going to do it. And it's still fun. It is still a job. I still have days where I'm like, oh, I got to do this. But it is essentially fun. We're in the best industry ever.
Completely. And that also brings me to my next question. What has been your most memorable thing or most exciting thing in your career so far?
Oh, I don't want to, sound like, oh my gosh, there's so many, because there's moments, there's different moments, and there's different things that happen to me. And, like if you told 16-year-old Jina that she would be receiving unmastered, uncut music from her favorite British band, like she would never believe you, type of thing. So it's moments like that too. And I think being able to work with artists like Johnny Clegg, like just such a tiny part of, just getting to know him on a different level, was amazing to be part of that. That's definitely one of the career highlights that I've had. I think another one was an artist, Callum Scott, being able to identify him early as an artist that can break in this region, and working with Damien and Breakouts, and being able to bring him here, and eventually getting an artist like that to be able to sell 3 shows in South Africa, and sell out a concert in Durban, which we know don't buy tickets. And it was his biggest show to date. So I think that was one of my definite career highlights, being identifying an artist so early that was fairly unknown to actually breaking him in South Africa.
And that's so amazing. I mean, that's been one of my most memorable concerts, because it was beautiful. And I didn't even know his music when I came to watch that, and I ended up buying his album and listened to it over and over again. And he connected so beautifully with the audience. I need to say it. I don't know what I was. So, but yeah, that was such a and it's so cool that you got to be a part of that. Speaking of artists that you got to break, I know you were very involved in the Billie Eilish. I remember I found her, and then I was like, I'd promote, and then you would promote it. I'm like, oh my gosh, this artist's amazing. That must have been interesting, trying to get people to listen to this extremely alternative new sound. And now she is, Grammy Award winner, like amazing.
Yeah, so that's also working with international repertoire. Yes, you have the Katy Perrys, you have the Beyoncés, you have the Justin Biebers, you have the established artists. The exciting part for me on the international side of my job is breaking unknown artists, being able to find these diamonds in the rough. And again, there's so much repertoire that comes out of international music, being able to find an artist like that and be like, okay, this is going to work. This is essentially, I never claim to be an A&R, so like, but finding artists that are in there and what's going to work in our markets. And anyone who watches this and knows that was in the media and knows how I was banging down that door about Billie Eilish. Yeah, it was essentially the same for Post Malone. I think those were two artists that I think I irritated a lot of media with, about, that this is an artist to watch. This is these, Post Malone, Billie Eilish, these are artists to watch. And it took me months and months to try and get Billie Eilish playlisted on radio. And I mean, she's still a challenge, but it took forever. And, you know, we're in a market where an artist can only work, you know, not only, but you have to have some kind of radio commercial success in South Africa for to break. So yeah, it was, it was exciting to be a part of that. And I still strive to find those artists, those international artists that I could break in our markets.
And I think that there was something that I heard from a fellow artist that said, I believe there's 3 keys to success. So one would be talent, being lovely, and work ethic. And I do believe you hold all of those. And when I talk about talent, I think having the ability to look at an artist and go, okay, I'm passionate about it. It's sitting here in my gut. It resonates with me. I'm going to push. And I mean, yeah, 2 artists that are, I mean, Post Malone and Billie Eilish, not even maybe 2 years ago, never would that have worked. And it was hard for you, and you took your passion and your desire and your perseverance and you drove it into those 2 artists, and you played a role in their success in this country. And that's absolutely incredible, to look at your own talent and go, well, not look at your own talent, just be like trusting that gut feeling and pushing it. So I mean, you should be so incredibly proud of yourself and that you have that talent. Like, it's absolutely amazing. And not a lot of people know how to do that or can do that for themselves or in the career.
I hope I could do more with it. And I'd like to do that with local artists as well. For the longest time, I haven't been working with local artists. So to be able to work on that now for the past 8 months with local artists is definitely exciting, and something that I'm very excited to be working on.
That's amazing. And then, so I don't know, where do you see yourself in the next, where do you want to be in the next 10 or 15 years?
I hate that question so much. It's something that comes up in job interviews.
Oh gosh, sorry, this is not a sorry, that's horrible.
No, it's really, I've never really had those kind of like ideas like, this is where I want to be in 10 years. It's always kind of been, I've had these like short-term goalposts, and they've either I've got to them or I've deviated type of thing. And I've just always been like, keep your hopes high and put your head down and just work hard. And I think that's essentially where it is. And I'm hoping that gets me to my end point. I don't know. We're all young here going, what do we want to do? We don't know. But I'm hoping my passion and hard work is going to get me to that where I'm meant to be.
And that's so interesting, because I've had a similar experience with it. It's like, I've never really been a 10-year goal person. And I asked that question because I'd like to see if other people can visualize themselves in 10 years. That gives me so much anxiety. I can't even bear it. So I'm like, let me do, like, what do I want to do now? What is my passion now? And it's so nice to hear that you have that same mentality. And I think that your passion is in the right place. And I'm a true believer that if you follow your passion, you'll end up where you need to be. So I don't think we should let the imposter syndrome get in the way, and we should just keep putting our heads down and having that.
Yes, and I mean, it's wishy-washy, and I hate the word, but manifestation, it's just having an idea, just putting it out in the universe that this is something you want to do and want to achieve is so important, because it reiterates it to yourself, and it's something that you've admitted to yourself that this is something you want. And I think that puts you in good stead already, because it's something you've already decided that mentally this is where you want to go and this is what you want to achieve. And I think that's the best you can do.
And I think that's like, I mean, I remember, and I also mentioned this before, is that I remember the feeling I had when I aspired to work backstage somewhere, and that feeling I had, not necessarily what it would look like, but that feeling. And it ended up happening a year later, and it was 10 times as more amazing than what my actual dream was. And I was actually chatting to Eden, which I've mentioned, she is going to be on this podcast eventually, because she does come up a lot, obviously, because I'm with her a lot of the time and we have lots of conversations. But I was saying, what is your biggest dream? And she said that, I don't know if you know DJ Snake, it was DJ
Yes.
Snake, and he gets, I don't know what song it is. It's that one a Latin American song. And when he plays the drop or whatever, everybody sings back. I'm like, I believe that that's your feeling that you get. That when people are singing your music back, and I think you should follow that gut feeling of, this is what I want to do. This is where my passion is. And that is my favorite moments.
That is my favorite moments at any concert. When the crowd is, I turn around. I don't watch the artist. I turn around and I listen to the crowd. Like, that is my favorite moments ever, because I can imagine exactly for Eden that is such a beautiful, something that you created, and thousands of people singing back to you is just
and you
magical.
touch so many lives, and just being a part of that. That's also my favorite part of working concerts, it's, I mean, it's not necessarily always watching the artist, it's the whole build up and seeing how many lives are changed and how people, it's just this beautiful like energy of connectivity and everybody's there hopefully for the right reasons, and it's so beautiful. I can't even imagine being an artist and being on that platform, even if I'm just standing on the outside going, I mean, I watch when I finish my ultra work and I go on stage and I listen from stage. It's like, it's something like, and we're just so blessed to work in this industry, and we're so blessed to have been brave enough to go down this
rabbit hole.
And I mean, I couldn't picture my life and I love what you say about, you know, until it's not fun anymore, but I don't know when that day is going to come. I think it's going to be fun for a very, very, very long time.
I hope so.
Like a travel bug, once you bid in, it's like, that's it for you.
Yeah, once I tried to leave the music industry for a year. It didn't work out. I found myself back.
And I always find myself trying to, like, you know, if we work on other clients that aren't music related, I'm like, okay, but what about an event? What about, like, can we get live music in here? Or I'll just start working on my music. And it's just,
it's always there. It's always there. And I won't just say music. I'm fortunate to have, you know, work in music now, but it's just the entertainment industry as a whole. You know, like, I started at Real Concerts, which is entertainment as a whole. It was comedy, it was music, it was events, you know, and that's also, I think, just that vibe. This is what I enjoy doing.
So then also, okay, the whole topic of this is empowering conversations. I want people to be empowered. I want you to be able to have a platform where you can tell what you've done and touch people's lives and have them say, okay, like if I see a little Jina in the that's watching and they're going, oh my gosh, I want to do that. What advice would you give somebody who wants to go into the music industry or go down the path of promoting artists, whether it be from an A&R perspective or a manager perspective or PR? What advice would you give them?
I think this stands for, you know, I've never been a music person, and I've always just been about music business and wanting to make money for the artist, essentially. And what I always did was educate yourself as much as possible. Try and learn, ask as many questions as you humanly can. Be that annoying person that asks why, how. And I think that's the best thing. And I think the best advice I could give a musician is learn how things work. You know, being signed to a record label is not going to make you big. Understand how social media works. Understand how to make your own videos. Understand how to pitch for playlists on Spotify, on Apple, on Deezer, on Jukes, on all of those. Understand what those platforms are and what it is that you're wanting to achieve on those platforms. And I think that's the biggest thing is empowering yourself through education, is ask questions. You know, like, I wouldn't have been able to do what I do if I didn't go, Benji, how do I work in this industry? Ask questions. And even if it's people that are so unattainable, like, or you don't think, oh, people are just humans. They are humans. So DM them, slide into their DMs and ask them, but ask relevant questions. Ask how you go about this. And I think, that's the biggest thing.
Being like willing to learn. I think that's
willing to learn all the time. And that's what I love about my job, is that no 2 days are the same, and I'm constantly learning every single day. I learn new things.
Oh, that's awesome. And thank you so much for sharing. I really think this is going to be so beneficial to the people that tune in. And I mean, it's even beneficial to me. It's reassuring of the path that I'm on, and the path
you're doing the right thing.
You do. I'll be there to remind you when you're having a down day. Just send me a text and I'll be like, I'll cheer you on.
Likewise.
Yeah. And I think it's just, and I'm so glad that you came on, and I always feel so good after this. I'm so glad I created Luna Sessions, because it makes me feel so good chatting to people.
I love watching them.
Oh, thank you. And I really like, I'll tag you in everything, obviously, so that everybody, your followers can see, and that everybody else that is watching this can go and follow you and your journey. And I mean, you'll see a lot of hiking and a lot of great hiking spots if you follow Jina. But I mean, you're such an amazing...
my profiles are mostly hiking. A little bit of music, a lot of hiking, but it's because I think my life is so big in, like, so much of music that I generally only post about the hiking side of it. That's my sanity.
No, completely. And I think that's, in this industry, you need a safe space to find that. And I think you're such a great person to learn from. I mean, I've watched you and I've learned. Thank you. That means so much. So I hope that if anybody has any questions, they can reach out to you and just
absolutely,
we can give back. That's also what I want to do. I want to give back to, I mean, I'm only 26, but I I think I've learned a little bit, and I just want people to learn as well and give back.
You're a complete powerhouse when it comes to PR and what you do in this industry. And no, absolutely. I think so many people could learn from you. So when can I interview you for this session?
Okay, I like that. We can set it up. Just let me know when, and we'll jump on.
Because I feel like you have so much knowledge to share with people too, and I think you should. So
thank you. That means so much. No, we'll definitely. I'd be keen. But yeah, thank you for sharing your story, and I'm glad that you say that people can reach out to you if they have any questions.
Absolutely.
I think as I said, you'll be an amazing person to learn from. And
I'm always willing to help, especially local artists. If you have questions, I am willing to help in every possible way that I can, in any way that I can.
That's amazing. And I think that'll be so valuable to people because I think you've got so much experience in so many different avenues of this. You've got international experience, local, and you've managed bands in the past. And I think that'll be so valuable to people to just reach out and be like, hey, can I help with this? So thank you for sharing your platform to people. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much. It's been so lovely chatting to you. And just
likewise.
Let me know when you want.
Hopefully see you soon.
Yes, no, definitely for a hike.
Let's go for a hike.
Thanks so much, Jay. Love you lots. Okay.
Okay, bye.